What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It is Tuesday, May 24th. My name is Everett DeLorme, joined as always by Mr. Rob St. Clair and Daniel Manili, and this is the 9 by 9 the 81 square meters of the best volleyball content you can find on the internet. And this one is a big one. We're right on the heels of the 2022 Champions League finals that went down this Sunday, and they were both banger of matches. We're going to be breaking those matches down, doing a bit of a recap of the European club season, and of course, get you ready for the national team season that's going to start in literally 1 week's time. In 1 week's time, guys, we are going to be having VNL. But first up, let's start with the Women's Champions League final. It was a rematch of last year with a different result. This time, Vakif Bank is your champions. MVP goes to Gabi, and they did everything they could to stifle Paolo Agonu in this one. Rob, you jumped in onto the Discord voice chat with some pretty heavy breakdown of the matches. How about you share what your thoughts of the game were?
So, first of all, this match was a banger. It was crazy. It delivered up to the hype. It was everything that we kind of wanted it to be for this rematch, for the end of this saga. Just the whole thing. There was man, I'm pulling up my notes about it. Yeah, just the whole Corneliano versus Vakifbank saga that went back to last club season, to World Club Championships this year, to perhaps the literal one-for-one exchanging of opposites that it sounds like these two teams are going to do this offseason. And there's just so much on the line for both of them, including basically a perfect season for Vakifbank, which we'll talk about in a minute. But the match itself, other than the thing that obviously pops out is the singular dominance of Paula Egonu without pretty much any support from anywhere else. And the way that you can beat this Corneliano team, really, there's two ways. You can have Paula Egonu have a mediocre day, make too many errors, then you've got a great chance. Or you get a day where she is Corneliano's only choice, and you do a great job of defending and slowing down everybody else, and you on your side play your A-plus game. And I think that's really what Vakifbank did. I think Egonu was terrific this game. 34 for 58, 59% kills, which is
Big
ridiculous.
Big time.
You could definitely argue too many errors with 8 errors total, never blocked, but 8 balls just hit out of bounds. But 34 for 58, you're certainly getting an Egonu performance that can win you a match, and perhaps should win you a match with that output. So,
well, it's funny, Rob, because that's almost exactly the same stat line that she had last year. If you guys remember, she had 41 points on 55% hitting, so like very similar. Actually, even more errors last year, where she won MVP, 14 errors in that one. So I mean, technically played better in this one, I guess. 10 errors if you combine her serving errors as well. So the performance is good enough to win the Champions League title. That's very much proven already.
Absolutely. So Egonu played well enough to win the Champions League title, but a couple of my takeaways set by set. In set number 1, it was late errors. There were 3 very, very bad errors, basically
Timely
right in a row.
errors.
Yeah, it was Egonu, Sila, and Plummer in I can't remember the order, but all 3 of those players made consecutive hitting errors, and Sila's and Plummer, they were terrible errors. Sila's was like a 60% roll shot that she missed by like 4 meters out of bounds. And then Plummer's was a crossbody chop that she missed wide of the sideline. I don't even remember what Egonu's was, but it was the timeliness of those errors that set was otherwise close. In set number 2, Vakifbank really went on a great run against Corneliano's rotation 1. They got trapped in rotation 1 badly for 4, maybe 5 points in a row, and eventually they just had to sprint Egonu from all the way on the left sideline all the way over to the right sideline the instant the ball was served, and get her a right side attacking chance to even have a possibility of getting out of that rotation. So Plummer was not a factor on the right, and they couldn't set the middle. They just could not get out of that rotation. And I think that Vakifbank's game plan, part of their game plan was to use off speed in offense and force Corneliano's off blocker defenders and their wing defenders to come up short and make a lot of those plays. You saw, I think, so Michelle Barch-Hackley had 15 attempts. She only had 2 kills. But I wouldn't go as far as to say she had a bad performance, because just about every one of those attempts was an off speed shot. So many tips, so many rolls. and Corneliano's off-speed defense didn't do that good of a job of, well, they picked a lot of them up, but they didn't turn them into transition, like real viable transition offense the way I thought they could have. And I think the reason why Corneliano won that third and played better was they got the middle more involved. But then in the fourth, it was all Vakifbank. It was 8-3 Corneliano, and then it all fell apart. It was crazy.
The two best times that we saw Conigliano go were in the fourth and at the beginning of the first, right? As you said, Rob, they made that slew of errors in the first to just give away the set to Vakifbank. They were in the lead up until then, but in both of those sets, they were really releasing the middles. That they were running a lot through Foley, and I mean, she ended up having the second amount of points for them on the day with 12, and getting like a lot of sets. A lot of sets in
19 attempts.
Exactly, in timely points. But then you really have to look at Catherine Plummer just disappearing this one. 8 for 25, 3 errors, blocked 4 times, a terrible efficiency in this one. And we've talked about it all season long that if they didn't have that secondary scoring option, they were tough. It was going to be tough to win. Does this one come down to Plummer just not showing up?
I don't think it's just Plummer though, and I agree. It's crazy to me that a 3-time NCAA champion who looked like the absolute next best thing of Team USA volleyball is getting to this level and struggling, because she really, in my opinion, does have the tools to do well. But I don't think it's just Plummer. I think it's a whole team. Plummer did make 7 errors, but Paliganu 8 errors. Miriam Silla 5 errors. Like the whole team, 17 attacking errors, 6 block shots. Corneliano attempted 30 more attacking attempts than Vakifbank and lost the match.
That is crazy.
That's nuts.
144 to 116. So there's something else going on there.
So
take a step
at what point do we start looking at Joanne Volage and starting to question if maybe she's not setting the best type of offense for this team? Maybe she's not putting her hitters in the best position. I mean, it's tough to see because, I mean, this one was a little bit different. We did get a bit of a baseline angle, but usually we don't. And we don't have the volley metrics to go and see because they don't do women's. But is there some question about Volage is able to lead this team?
I don't really think so, because the game plan for Corneliano is always to feed Paula Egonu the ball, and it wasn't like the spread of the offense was that one-dimensional. Like the balance of attempts is not bad. 25 attempts for Plummer, 30 for Sila, 19 for Foley, and then 10 for DeCroix. Like that distribution of attempts for the attackers isn't a problem to me. It's the performance of those attackers when they got the balls, mostly just the 2 outside hitters. Like Plummer and Sila were really just not good enough. But I think already we've talked too much about Corneliano's failure and not enough about Vakifbank's outstanding, phenomenal performance in their game plan, because not only do they have an opposite in Isabel Haak, who you could argue is somewhat close to the same tier as Paula Egonu, but the MVP of this match, Gabi Guimarães, at 23 for 38, 4 errors, only 61% kills. Her kill percentage was better than Egonu's, plus passing 67% positive.
Yeah, Gabby was unreal in this one.
Unbelievable.
And I mean, you bring up Isabel Haak, but I felt Isabel Haak kind of struggled. I mean, she was 15 for 37, only went 41% kill percentage. Efficiency wasn't great. And I felt like she was a little hot and cold in this one. But that's when Gabby kind of just took up the mantle and really drove this team home. And I mean, she was absolutely outstanding. And you could tell that nothing was going to stop her from this one. She was all over the place. Well-deserved MVP by Gabby, you guys think?
Oh my God, absolutely. She's the best outside hitter on the planet right now on the women's side, and she was.
Wow. Okay.
And she was
Of
course, she's better than Fedorov-Seva. Of course, she is.
Okay, but Rob, I have a question for you.
Yeah,
because
sure.
I remember us sitting this time last year, and Gabby's an amazing player, but we were calling her, or at least I was. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but saying that she's basically a glorified libero. That secondary outside hitter, because last year, if you remember, 13 points on 46% hitting. She was 10 more points on an incredibly better performance. What do you think changed between last year and this year? Is this just her getting back to her usual level, or is she actually taking her offensive game to the next step?
I think she's taken her offensive game to the next level compared to last year. National team and club included, the way that she sees the block. I mean, match point is a great example. She got a bump set from, I don't know, from well off the court from John Suozbai. Like everybody in the gym knew the ball was going to her. And it was a great bump set, first of all. And she saw perfectly the outside head of Jana Volosh, hammered it high flat, like in such a way that there was no defense to track it down. She saw it from a million miles away. That her arm talent, her cross court range this year, I really think has improved. She can bang the ball inside of two blockers and to about 3 meters, like right on the sideline. She can score in so many different ways now that I don't really remember her seeing her use all those tools last year. And it's the vision, it's the intelligence, and it's then the arm talent to really hammer the ball when she needs to, which reminds me a lot of a certain other MVP of the Champions League finals that we'll talk about later on. But I not only has, I think, her game improved, but her role on this Vakif Bank team has shifted, because you can see the number of attempts. 38 for Gabi compared to Isabel Haak's 37. A year ago, that would have been 60 for Haak and like 20 for Gabi. And the part of it, I think, is because teams are understanding that Haak demands more of a defensive focus, like almost an Egonu or Boskovic level of defensive focus, compared to last year where they're trying to play that team straight up in a little more balanced of a way. But so now if Haak is getting blocked and defended like in more of an overloaded way compared to most other opposites, then Gabi's got to take a little more offense on her shoulders. I think Vakif Bank is running the pipe more this year than they did last year, mostly to Gabi. You certainly aren't going to set Barch there that much. And she's a better out-of-system option on the left side than she used to be. So all that. Gabi's game has improved. Vakif Bank's game, because of her improvement, has shifted more to include her in the offense. I think it's all good things and well-deserved MVP. I cannot think of a better outside hitter in the women's game in the world right now.
Oh, and by the way, she's still like unservable in serve receive.
Absolutely. Yeah, she's a steel trap passing the ball.
Yeah, you're not wrong. What was it? 67% positive, 33% excellent.
Well, she only got targeted 9 times. Like
That's insane.
You literally cannot serve her. She passed 9 balls in 4 sets as a full-time 6 rotation.
And she's taking a lot of court too.
Yeah, it's the craziest thing I've ever seen. Like they'd much rather serve Icach the ball. Like she's the libero, and 53% positive, 12% perfect is reasonably good. But but you're literally serving their best outside hitter a single-digit number of times because of how afraid you are of letting her pass the ball.
And I guarantee you probably half of those were like Egonu jumpsters that just happened to spray onto her side.
Probably. She's incredible. I can't think of another female outside hitter that I would build a team around right now.
No, you may be right. You may be right on that, Rob. I'd have to think about it a little bit. Maybe Federitseva, but I don't know. You may be right on that one, Rob. Now, this Vakif Bank team, 5 trophies this year. They win both of the cups in Turkey. They win the league in Turkey. They win the World Club Championships, and they win the Champions League. Is this considered one of the best women's teams, and hell, maybe not even women's team, but just volleyball teams, period, ever?
Right.
I don't know how many times ever a team has gone 5 for 5 in possible trophies. A club team has done that.
Well,
ever.
good thing I can tell you guys.
Yes, let's hear it.
This may not be comprehensive. I didn't look for too long, but okay, here we go. Funnily enough, Vakif Bank has done this before. In 27-18, they also won all 5. Which a very good team as well. And actually, on the men's side, that same year, guys can probably guess who it is. The same year, this Russian team went 5 for 5.
Okay.
Zenit Kazan, of course, who also was one tournament off both years prior. I think one was the Russian Cup and one was like the Club World Championships.
They lost to Sada Crucero a couple times there, like lost to Lube or somebody weird. But yeah, those Zenit Kazan teams, yikes.
Yeah, and one more, Caneliano. I don't know if you guys count this or not. They did win 4 out of 5 in 2021. But there was no Club World Championships that year, so I don't know where you weigh that.
That was part of the 78 match win streak.
But however, one thing you have to consider with this Vakif Bank team, and I mean maybe even the Vakif Bank team back in 2018 too, is that when those Zenit Kazan teams were winning and doing that, they had the best player in the world on their team, right? this Vakifbank team did it twice against Canigliano with the best player in the world on their team, putting up these legendary performances, and they're still able to get it done. This is like the Warriors beating LeBron out here, or LeBron beating the 62 win Warriors, or no, sorry, 72 win Warriors. Like it's that type of level. Like you're taking down the best player in the world twice in finals in the same calendar year, not calendar year necessarily, but the same season.
If you win 5 trophies, if you go 5 for 5 in trophies, including like the stupid Super Cup, which is obviously like the least important of the 5, but you still got to come in earlier in the season and figure that out. But every other one of these trophies is a pretty big deal. Like, and Vakifbank didn't get any of them all that easily. Like the Club World Championships was a crazy 5-setter over Corneliano in the finals. The Turkish League Championship was a ridiculous 5-match series with Fenerbahce, which we talked about well on the show. The Turkish Cup final was a ridiculous 5-setter against Fenerbahce, which I think was like 17-15. Vakifbank's backs were against the wall in so many of those giant tournaments. And in every single one of them, really, except the Super Cup where they weren't pushed at all, in 4 of the 5 major trophies they won this year, they were pushed to their absolute limits and still were able to prevail in the end with outstanding team play, top to bottom, great coaching. In those Turkish championships, they couldn't even play their optimal lineup because of the foreigner limit and still got those things done. This is one of the best club seasons in volleyball history.
And Guidetti, one of the best coaches for sure. And another check mark for our continuity theory, guys, because I think we're all on this same bandwagon here. Pretty much the same team here since 2019-20 with Cansu, with Isabel Hawk, Gabby Cansu wasn't starting at that time, but still you're learning from Maya Yanovich, Michelle Barch, Zara Gunesh. We're only missing, and I know she's at home. She's one of the nicest players you'll ever meet. I know she was at home cheering Vakifbank. Milena Rasic is pretty much the only big piece missing from that team.
Yeah, it's a huge positive check mark for our continuity theory that if you keep a club team more so the same year over year, you're likely to have better results from building that over a long time. Vakifbank clearly did that, and how could you argue against the results of this year with 5 trophies?
Yeah, but it's funnily enough, we bring up that continuity, but that's ending for both of these teams here.
Yes, it is.
As it is pretty much official now that Paolo Egonu will be headed to Vakifbank this year. And, that's kind of my next question to build off the last one. We just determined that this is indeed one of the best teams that we've ever seen. And they're going out and adding now the best player in the world. This is a Kevin Durant joining the Warriors situation for sure type of thing. Do you think is this LeBron going to the Heat and we're just expecting that they're going to win everything from now on? Are we expecting them to take a run at the unbeaten streak set by Ogono's Canigliano? Like, what's the expectations for this team now after this past season, adding who they are adding for next season?
I was going to say they just won 5 out of 5 trophies, and now they're going out and getting the best player in the world. Like, where do you even go from here? The expectation, I think, would be to go 5 for 5 again. All you're doing is adding Paola Egonu, who, I think the play style of this Vakifbank team, honestly, I don't think is even going to change all that much. Crazy enough. Maybe the only place they can go now from here is take a run at the undefeated streak. Or maybe next season they have the goal to never lose a single match. I don't know. I don't know where else they can go.
Well, no one's won 5 for 5 twice in a row, so that's a good goal. But we know we don't know. Paolo is the best player in the world, but we also don't know how teams fit together, team chemistry. Just from being around that team at the Super Finals last year, like those, Gabby and Isabel Hawk and Zara Gunesh and Tugba are all like really close. So I don't know if breaking that up changes things. But yeah, you never know. I would definitely not bet on them going 5 for 5, just as how incredibly hard that is. They're not the only team getting better and adding pieces, but they could definitely do
it. Does the Turkish league become one of the leagues to watch next season with the addition of Egonu?
Yeah, I think it's yeah. It's. It was already the second best league in the world, pretty clearly, and it ended up producing the best team. I just think the top to bottom talent, like the bottom of the Turkish league, was way worse than the bottom of the Italian league. I think is the main difference. Next year, really, that those top couple teams could really go head to head at every level for an argument of that Turkey might become the best league in the world if those bottom tier teams aren't quite so bad as they were this year. And I don't see that moving that much. So I would still give it to Italy top to bottom. But I would hope that the global audience gets more of a look at the Turkish Women's League next year, the way we did men's and women's Italian leagues this year. If it's possible for Volleyball World TV to pick up the Turkish league, I would love to see it.
The issue with Turkey is that the top teams hoard the domestic talent, even if they're on the bench, which lowers the level of a lot of the lower teams. Like a lot of these players will take quite a bit of money to sit on the bench for Vakifbank or Fenerbahce rather than having, a quarter of the salary starting for one of the lower teams, which I mean totally makes sense on an individual basis, but you don't see that quite as much in Italy, which I think helps the construction of their league overall.
Yeah, the budget disparity in Turkey is ridiculously wide. Like the budget that Vakifbank has compared to, I don't know, whatever team got relegated this year is I would have to think is much wider of a budget gap than it is in Italy. Also, you get 4 foreigners on the court in Italy, you only get 3 in Turkey. So that domestic talent becomes even more important, like Dan's talking about.
But I can see why they do it. Like you see Cansu Ozbay here, right? Where she was sitting on the bench for how long in Vakifbank, and they just kept her on the bench, and then but then when they lost Majan Jenovic, she's ready to go, right?
What a crazy long play that club has done such a good job of this entire process. Interrupted by COVID in the middle, they really the only move they made this offseason was letting Maja Jenovic go, allowing Cansu Ozbay to come in and start, and then picking up Chiako Bogu basically only for Club World Championships and Champions League. She really didn't play that much in Turkey.
Yeah, no, you're right. All right, I think that's wrapping up for the women's match. Is there anything that we want to add to break this one down?
Nope, I think we can move on.
All right,
huge congratulations to Vakifbank on this season. Barch and Chiaka Americans getting 5 trophies, bringing them back stateside, and that really just to go 5 for 5 in trophies is truly insane. So congratulations to them. It was great to watch.
Yeah. By the way, just real quick for Vakifbank, Ozbay, Gabby, Abogu, Agonu, Gunesh, all confirmed on Volleybox for next season.
Okay.
Dangerous.
So, yeah,
bring
the
band back.
The team's going to be crazy next year.
Bringing the band back. All right, jumping over to the men's final. Of course, it was another rematch from last year, this time with the exact same result. Even more so emphatically, Zaxa goes 3 up, 3 down against Trentino. And MVP in this one undoubtedly goes to Kamil Semeniuk. He was absolutely unbelievable. 26 for 35, 74% hitting percentage with only 1 error. Guys, it was Zaxa all throughout this one. There wasn't any doubt at all. What do we think about Zaxa going back to back?
Dan, go first, because I still can't even read this Semeniuk stat line and take it seriously because it's so ridiculous.
Yeah, so Semeniuk, absolute crazy performance. I mean, he could have won MVP last year as well, really. But Śliwka was also good last year. Śliwka, as we've discussed many times before, fading into the background, but oh my God, it didn't matter. I went back and watched all of Semeniuk's hits a couple times. Couple notes here. 28 in-system hits versus 6 out-of-system.
Okay.
Which is a credit also. I mean, like Semeniuk's obviously a superstar, but like none of this happens without the passing of Eric Shoji, Śliwka, and also, of course, the man himself, Kamil Semeniuk. To have 28 in-system attacks in one game, I don't think I've ever seen that many in-system attacks. That's like absolutely crazy. And what it allowed him to do, like Kamil Semeniuk, obviously great athlete, great vertical, but also great block vision. And that we saw him basically hitting around the block every time, a ton of angle. And I was kind of looking at the Trentino block, and obviously guys like Nicoletta, Lizanac, put up a big block, but they were tell me if this makes sense, guys. They were blocking tall and not wide.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
They were taking up a lot of vertical space, but they weren't taking away the angles. And Kamil Semeniuk, to his credit, will absolutely just cut you apart on that. And he did a really great job at it.
That's very well said. I mean, 26 for 35 is otherworldly, and you can only do that as an outside hitter at, like, what is he, 195? He's not not overwhelmingly big.
Yeah,
his vertical is outstanding. His contact and his arm is as good as there is in the world. That combined with his consistent hand contact and his block vision. But I think you might have something there, Dan, on the way that Trentino was blocking against him, because there was one swing in particular that I saw. I think it was in set one where he had an out of system ball, one of his apparently very few, and he found the narrowest little sliver off of Micheletto's high right hand as he was blocking on the right, because a lot of the time Trentino switch blocked against them. They put Spertoli blocking on the left against Kaczmarek, which I thought actually is the opposite of what they should have done just size-wise. But so Micheletto was reaching so high, and like just inside the antenna here, Semeniuk found that tiny sliver of space to go off of Micheletto's right hand and immediately into the antenna. And like the critical nature of that swing was so insane. But he saw it and he trusted it and he committed to that shot the whole way in a way that I haven't really seen just about any other hitter do, especially one that is almost 20 centimeters shorter than the guy he's blocking against. It was insane. Dan, do you know how many of those 35 attempts were out of the pipe? I'm really curious about Zox's pipe distribution.
Not that many. It was 4 or 5, but I think he terminated on all of them. So
had to. Yeah, I thought they did a great job of using the BIC or using the pipe in transition and in side-out situations when it was the right time to do so. Every opportunity I saw when they ran that, it scored. And the other person I want to shout out here is David Smith. Listen to this stat line: 8 for 9 attacking, 89%. 1 block and 1 ace for 10 total points in a 3-set match where we thought that Trentino had the advantage in the middle. He carved Marco Pedrashkin and Sresko Lisinac for 8 for 9 attacking. That is unbelievable, and huge congratulations to Smith for another just ageless sort of performance. It's amazing that he did that in that matchup.
Remember last season when we thought that Smith was washed up? Right, when he got subbed out in this very Champions League game for Christoph Reino. And you know what, somewhere, some on this show were even, doubting why he was brought on the US team. And now here he was not only in this match, but he had a banger of a season all around. I was at one point even questioning, why they would re-sign him for next season. And it's stuff like this. He was absolutely unreal. And they needed him to be too without Norbert Huber.
Right.
Well, that's the thing. Reginald played pretty well as well. That's what I predicted on my podcast. I was like, man, I'm really, even with the Huber injury, Zaxa, I think, has got this. And look at Reginald, 4 blocks, like you said, Rob. David Smith, 8 for 9. They didn't miss a beat in the middle. Like, Huber's an incredible player, and I don't even want to think about what this game would have been if he had played. But yeah, David Smith, he's looking very spry for 35 or however old he is.
Yeah, what an awesome performance. And on the Trentino side, what's your guys' take on Alessandro Micheletto offensively? We've talked about it the last couple weeks, but his hitting numbers, especially in the back half of that series against Luis Chivinanova and in this final, his hitting numbers have not been good.
They've dropped significantly.
What exactly is that? I think I've got kind of an idea that it was actually typified on match point when he hit over the top of a triple block and Slivka was sitting right in the exact spot to kickstart a transition opportunity. But what do you guys think is happening with Micheletto? Is he fatigued? Is he slowing down? Or are teams just figuring him out better?
I personally think he's fatigued. Right? Because the reality with Micheletto is that there's not much to figure out. He's big and he can bang balls, right? He's the type of player that you can know what he's going to do and he's still probably going to be able to do it. But especially when we saw him in that switch in the Lube series in the semifinals of the Scudetto, early on the series, he was dynamic, able to get to balls, getting there early, putting his feet in a good position. And later on in the series, he hasn't. Now, I haven't broken down his movement as much, throughout the finals and throughout this match too. But I'm guessing that's kind of what happened, where he's just not perfectly in position as he has been before to get a good position on the ball. And that's kind of why we're seeing these crazy errors from him, because he's reaching outside of his body to try to hit the ball. That's my opinion anyways.
Yeah, I would agree with that for the most part. I think fatigue definitely is a factor with Micheletto. And I think if, we're rushing a bit to a point in this, like the top elite player, because if you guys remember, for Micheletto, like he was never supposed to be an elite attacker, right? Like he had all the other elements. He had the serve, he had the blocking, he had the passing, but the attacking was something that came later. It came kind of throughout like the last summer. Even remember, he wasn't even starting. He was supposed to start the last Champions League finals. So I think that's just part of his game overall that hasn't been developed, and he needs to go get Uroš Kovacevic's phone number right now, give him a call, and go to the Uroš Kovacevic camp of hitting line shots from position 4 as a lefty. Very specific camp. Not that many get invited to it, but Alessandro needs to go to that one because, man, there were some single blocks where they were so giving him so much line. Like one of us could kill it, like with that much space. Like
Kaczmarek got him once on a one-on-one dive to the cross court. Where,
but there's my second point. Like Zaxa, to all their credit, really good at switching up the blocks. They were in his head. Like they were switching up the coverage. They would give him like a incredible amount of line one shot, and like you said, then Kaczmarek would come take away the line. But Micheletto, he's just going like Everett said. He's just going for this over top of the block, like to position like shallow position 6 or position 6-5. And teams have figured it out to a certain extent. So he'll work on it this summer, but he needs a little more dynamicism to his attacking.
I agree with that. That was exactly my takeaway. Is that Micheletto, as Everett said, he's kind of the guy right now where you kind of know what he's going to do, and he's going to try and beat you with it anyway. But straight over the block to a consistent spot is defendable. What I would like to see Micheletto improve is to be able to hit the ball hard enough to go off the block and way out of play so it can't be defended, and more importantly, have a legitimately threatening line shot. I think if he does those two things, it's impossible for a position 6 defender to just lean over to 5 like we saw Schlief could do on match point. And the positioning of the block has to totally change if you have to worry about his line shot so that he can start ripping 4-4 again, which we certainly know he can do. So I think it's more people have figured him out than it is he's fatigued, to be honest.
Fair enough. Another question for you guys here. Is this Trentino team the most overachieving team to have made the Champions League finals in this way the past 2 years?
Past 2 years?
Past 2 years. They were the only team to make it the past.
No,
2
but
years.
sorry, but not like you know what I mean. Like having made the finals last year and this year, are they kind of the most overachieving team to have done that in consecutive years?
Maybe that I can remember. That's a little too specific of a question, but they didn't really even contend for the Scudetto finals in either of those years. They lost in the semis both years.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's really weird that it happened twice this way.
Very, really very weird. The fact that this was a repeat matchup at all, considering everything that went on in the offseason and the season on the men's side, is pretty crazy that this matchup even happened. And we'll talk about that later as we kind of wrap up the whole season. Sure, this Trentino team overachieved. We've talked about it a lot from the beginning of the season when we thought that they were losing some of their budget. They lost Gianelli. They lost Namir. They lost Zuccarelli. They totally reshifted their system. And I got this directly from the source when I talked to Matej Kaziski on the European Volleyball Show a couple weeks ago. He's like, yeah, we didn't even think we were going to be that good this year. But then when we put things together in the gym, they figured out that the 3 outside hitter thing worked for them. They went out and won the Italian Super Cup. They're like, oh, wait a minute. We might not have to this doesn't have to be a rebuilding season. We can go and contend for championships this season. So their confidence definitely changed. But in terms of what everybody kind of thought of them at the beginning of the season, just when you look at the names on the roster, this is definitely an overachievement for Trentino. But it's brutal to come all the way to the Champions League final 2 years in a row and lose them both to the same team, especially. That stings.
Yeah, definitely a tough one. But on the flip side of this, Zaxa, 2 wins in a row. This is going to be a 2-part question. First of all, does that move Zaxa into the upper echelon of elite teams in the world? Right,
we're already there. They were already there.
Fair enough. But my second part of this question is, does this put a notch up for the Plusliga as well in general as a league? Not only have you gotten back a team that goes back to back, but you also had your second place team in JW taking down the Italian champions in Lube in the quarterfinals, right? So that's 2 huge moves by the Plusliga to in my eyes, kind of cement them amongst the elite leagues in the world, with the Italian league and the Russian league.
I think so. I think it definitely gives a huge boost to the Plusliga reputation. I mean, ask any Polish fan, they think the Plusliga is the best league in the world already and has been for the last 10 years. They're very confident, but I think, I mean, of course, this is a huge, I definitely think the Polish fans would rather them have their national team do better, but this is definitely not a bad thing for the Plusliga. I think, and I kind of had this in my notes for a later question, but I think they need to start putting like more teams in CV Cup, Challenge Cup, and going a bit harder in those competitions. Because I think if you really like establish the dominance for those competitions, as much as maybe they don't matter sometimes, but and especially Everett, you made a great point. Jastrzębski, Wegiel winning as well, because usually Poland will have Zaksa do it well, or Skra in the past do really well, or Jastrzębski even before that, but rarely do they have two teams do well. It's too bad that Warsaw kind of had that brutal season, because
terrible.
If they had three teams in the playoffs, and I think they could have if Zawiercie or someone had played in Champions League, then it would have been quite good for them.
Yeah, I definitely agree. We have some comments here in the chat. Russian teams were not playing this year, and that Dynamo Moscow is better than Zaksa. Do we think the result of this one would have been different had it not been for the war and the absence of Russian teams?
No, because Zenit Kazan was the best team in Russia this year, and they were in CV Cup. I think Zaksa's original first-round matchup was against Dynamo Moscow, and you guys remember Everett's giving me a lot of hard time on this show for picking Dynamo Moscow back in that matchup.
That's why I'm surprised with what you're saying right now.
Well, like back then, that was not a crazy take. It's still not. Dynamo Moscow ended up winning the Russian league, but the fact that Zaksa was able to do this again, I mean, you get the draw you get. They got lucky by not having to play a quarterfinal series in Champions League at all. But after that, it was convincing. They destroyed Jastrzębski twice. They completely destroyed them. That first match was a 3-0. That second match, they went up 2-0. It was over. They pulled the starters. And then it was a sweep in the finals over Trentino. They did not lose a meaningful set once the bracket stage of Champions League started. And I don't know how then you can make a case that they don't deserve every bit of this Champions League win. Every other team in the world had a chance. Had an equal chance, other than the Russian teams who got pulled out of the tournament for circumstances outside their control. But everybody in Italy, everybody else in Poland, everybody in the world had a chance at Zaksa this year. None of them could beat them.
I agree, Rob. I don't think you should take any away from Zaksa. Incredible season, but I mean, it's not a terrible take, because Moscow was really good. I think they could have beat Zaksa.
Sure.
But I agree, you can't really argue semantics at this point.
Yeah, we also can't argue that Perugia is better than Zaksa. We can't argue any of that. Zaksa won the Champions League. They did it twice in a row. If you're not convinced by that, I don't know what it takes for you. Semeniuk just went 26 for 35 in the Champions League final. Like, what more do you want from this team to solidify that they're the best team in Europe right now?
Next year they have to cut their budget by 33% again, and then win again, and then and then they've convinced me, Rob.
Is that what they did last year to this year?
Yeah.
Wow. So
they cut their budget hard. They lost Taniudi. They lost two of the most expensive Polish players in Jakub Kochanowski and Paweł Zatorski, and like thinned out the bench a bit. That's some cost savings right there. I'm sorry, Huber and Janusz are not as expensive as Taniudi and Kochanowski.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Well, speaking of roster for next season, of course, it's another well-known secret that it looks like Kamil Semeniuk will be headed to Perugia to play alongside Leon next year. Confirmed so far on Volleybox right now for Zaksa.
Suchi said it. Perugia's chairman said it. He came out and said it, and Semeniuk in his post-game interview said, "This is my last match for Zaksa," which is why you can kind of see the emotion on his face right here.
That's a big one.
It was... He was in very legitimate tears giving his post-game interview, and it was emotional for me to watch, because he came up in the Zaksa team. He grew up going to Zaksa games. This is as homegrown of a talent as you will ever see in volleyball anywhere. He was a kid in the Zaksa youth system at the very, very lowest levels. And I think he got loaned out to some other Plusliga club for like 1 year. But other than that, his entire career has been spent with this Zaksa team, and he has taken them from from being a child and just a fan of the players that used to play in front of him in that gym, and now has taken him to back-to-back Champions Leagues and has put on one of the best performances of all time in a Champions League final to win MVP. It's an unbelievable story that I don't think we can possibly appreciate what this club has meant to Kamil Semeniuk and vice versa.
And by the way, not like a highly touted prospect coming out or anything.
Not at all. Not at all.
He wasn't on any of. Correct me, I could be wrong. Polish fans don't get too mad at me, but I don't think he was on any really of the Polish youth teams in a big role at all. He like Robbie said, he really had to earn his spot on Zaxa, both in the just on the club and also then on the starting lineup. But yeah, I mean, man, but yeah, great story. Hard work pays off, guys.
Yeah. Now, signed for next year, you have Janusz Kaczmarek, Slivka, Zielinski, who I guess will be sliding in next to Slivka on the left side. David Smith, Norbert Huber, Eric Shoji, and head coach will be Thomas Semyovuo.
Yes, coming over from Russia, but they're not going to stick with Wojciech Zielinski at this.
No, probably not. You're right.
They're going to go.
Although he could be a good third guy.
Oh yeah, and he was this year. He came in and went to the Plusliga playoffs and was good. But they have another foreigner spot because you only have Shoji and Smith, and everyone else is Polish. They will go out and make a huge move this offseason. Semyovuo has already hinted to that. And I just don't exactly know who it's going to be. But they will go out and pick up a big-name foreign outside hitter this offseason.
Who are we thinking?
Well, one of the people that I said earlier was Aaron Russell, but it sounds like he's headed to Japan as of reports recently. So that one's probably not going to happen. I guess this is a good segue to just kind of talking about the general wrap-up of this club season and some of the transfers that we already know about, because some of the really, really big ones are Kamil Semeniuk to Perugia. And then Anderson will be headed perhaps back to Asia. We know Robert Landy-Simone and Riccardo Lucarelli both to Piacenza. We don't know exactly what Lube is going to do to fill those holes. We don't know what Zaxa is going to do to fill that outside hitter hole. We kind of expect some foreigners to leave Russia and go back elsewhere in Europe. Sam Daru going to Zenit Kazan is something that I heard.
Okay.
With Bartosz Bednorz leaving Zenit Kazan, I hear that he's going to be replaced by Sam Daru. So a lot going on there. What are some of the other big transfer things that we already know about, guys? And then I guess that Zaxa question is a good one. What are some big holes on big name clubs that need to be filled with transfers this offseason? We can start with men's, then talk about women's.
Well, one of the ones I was hearing about today actually is that Zaitsev is as possibly looking at Piacenza as well, potentially going to join Lucarelli and Simone, so that could be interesting. We know too that
why do you just get DeCheco over there and get Fabio Balasso there? Sound a little familiar here.
Yeah, you might have to. So I mean, it's been well known for a while that there is a budget cut going on in Lube. So this last Scudetto is probably the last we're going to be seeing. I know that Monza has been making some moves. Of course, rumor has it that Stephen Marr will be headed over to Monza to play over there. And on the Canadian front as well, it looks like Gord Perrin has been signed with Verona and will be going to play in Verona this season.
Couple of very B+ moves there.
Yeah, let's. This is your area here, Dan. I'm waiting for you to shine.
The transfers? Okay, well, who do we still have? Shawan Vernon-Evans, to keep it Canadian. He could go somewhere. Also, do we know Bartosz Bednorz? Could he potentially be going to Zaxa?
It would be a play style fit. Everett and I actually talked about this with Semeniuk leaving. We thought maybe Tomasz Fornal or Bartosz Bednorz, like either of those two, if you wanted to get a Polish guy, kind of fit that L1 high ball scorer sort of guy, but I still think it's going to be a foreigner because you have a foreign spot. You might as well use it on some superstar.
Are we going to see an exodus for Warszawa potentially? Bartosz Szwolek, I don't think he's signed there again, right?
Not that I know of, and obviously Jay Blankenau, Everett's boy, is on his way elsewhere.
Yeah, I think he is. This is one that I'm interesting that I'm seeing in Volleyball right now. Herrera. Jesus Herrera out of Cuba, who's been with Chaumont for the past couple of years, signing with Perugia. That was added 4 hours ago onto Volleyball.
Yeah, I heard about that one. He'll be like one of their backup wings. He's kind of like a Marlon Yant sort of project, and maybe play him in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean he is an opposite, so it would work well to slot in behind Rich Leakey. Davide Gardini coming from BYU to join Padova.
That's kind of a non-factor. His passing is not even close to a Super League level, but at least he's Italian, doesn't count against the foreigner limit, because it sounds like your boy Eric Lepke, Everett, leaving Padova, headed to Toronto. Is that correct?
That is correct. Another Padova move, Dusan Pekovic coming over from Warsaw. Dan and I had the pleasure of seeing him for Serbia one year. Yeah, that's right. I'm just going down. Dan's boy, F.A. Byram, who is going to be playing for
Cisterna. I love that move.
Yeah. Thijs ter Horst will be, his time is done in the Italian league. He's heading to South Korea.
That would make sense.
Augustin Lozier is heading to Milano.
I like that one. I like that one a lot, especially as Milano's losing Bartolomei Chignese. I think Lozier in the Italian league is going to be fun to watch.
Yeah. And then also Als Neil and been holding things down in Chaumont. So a bit of Cuban influence this year into the Italian league.
Yeah, where's Ronnie in the chat when we need him?
Yeah, seriously.
So one of the best places for Italian transfers is the legendary Tommy Blizzard Google Doc. He's got the whole spreadsheet for men's and women's transfers that he keeps up to date through the offseason. That plus Volleybox plus the Discord, that's your source for transfers, but I think we've already talked about it enough.
There is a one rumor here that was added recently on Volleybox. Filippo Lanza to Zaksa Kazechna Kojo.
I remember that. That was sort of memed into existence on Piscini's blog, wasn't it? That can't be a real thing. Please don't tell me that's a real thing.
Maybe it is. Well, I guess we'll have to see.
What about Cleveno? Trevor Cleveno to Zaksa? Does he sign next year as your strip sheet?
I don't know, but I think he might.
I think he is.
But Zaksa needs more firepower. They don't need an L2 character. They need an L1 character.
How dare you? Okay, fine.
Where did the Chignese sign for next season?
Not in Italy. I think he's going somewhere weird. I don't remember.
Okay, I don't know. Here's a good one. My boy finally making it to the big leagues.
FA?
Lucas Vicina.
Czech
PG
kid?
Scrub Belchatov for next year. How about
I like that.
Okay, I like that too.
He's got the physicality. He needs to tighten it up. He needs to tighten it up a bit. Yeah, I'm glad he's playing on a big club now. I'm not sure if it'll start, but that's a great step in the right direction.
Agreed. So I'm looking at Tommy's women's transfer spreadsheet, and there's even more confirmed movement here, at least for Italy, than there is on the men's side. Like we already talked about Paola Egonu to Vakifbank, but just like some shuffling amongst the top teams within the top teams staying in Italy, Novara is getting completely shattered next year. Britt Herbots is headed to Firenze. Rosa Maria headed to Busto Arsizio. Micah Hancock is out, maybe to Valafolia is one that I heard. Daldarop also maybe headed to Vakifbank Istanbul. Sofia Dodorico is out.
Daldarop's going to Vakifbank? Why?
Maybe Daldarop to Vakifbank. I also heard Kara Bayama, the American outside hitter, also maybe to Vakifbank. So there's craziness going on. Novara, though, bringing in Jordan Poulter to set and Anna Danesi in the middle from Monza, allegedly. Monza going to have a complete rebuild. I heard that they're going to try and move Magdalena Stisiak to the left and pick up another opposite. I don't really know what's happening there. I know that's
been tried before.
Yeah, it has. Camila Mingardi probably moving on from Busto, going elsewhere, and she might switch back to the left side. Man, there's just some crazy stuff going on here.
So there's been some updates on the men's side. Have you guys seen? Do you guys want Trentino or Modena first?
Modena.
Modena, maybe Tommaso Stefani. I think that's a good pickup.
Nothing confirmed about there, but it looks like we will be getting the return of certain Jania Grebenikov to Modena.
Nice.
Love to hear that. That's
it. Looks like
news.
Namir is now going to be returning to Modena. So is Bruno. So is Engapeth, Daddy Stankovic, Tommaso Rinaldi, Mazzone.
The return of Rinaldi after he couldn't even start on a low tier team.
Yeah, they still need another outside hitter there. I'm glad Leal's going back to Brazil where he belongs. But like Grebenikov, you can't overstate the upgrade that Grebenikov is over Salvatore Rossini. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, but once again, it's just going to put Modena into the foreigner rule even more. Like they have to get
point.
they have to get a good Italian outside now, because you've got Nemir, you've got Engapeth, you've got Bruno and Grebenikov. That's 4 right there.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you go to the Trentino sides, it looked like they made at least one big pickup, Donovan Dazranak.
I like that move. But
is he better than Daniele Lavia? I don't know.
But they have Lavia there as well.
Depends on what system they want to play.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know if I see them doing this 3 outside hitter thing for another year.
But I mean, they're bringing back Kaczynski. They've got Dazranak, Micheletto, Lavia, Cavuto as well.
Yeah, so now you have 4 like good outside hitters and still no.
What are you gonna do with all those?
Yeah, that's what for me, that's almost like because of what they have, it's a lateral move. Sure, you're adding someone on who's got a lot of quality, but you're not really upgrading to you. Is that going to get you back to another Champions League final? Is that going to make you win it?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Is this the year that Piacenza finally jumps into the top 4?
I think they has to be.
That's such a good roster already, and they still have one more foreigner spot to fill out, which I'm sure is going to be a good one.
Depends on if they're keeping Legumcia or if they're bringing in Zaitsev or what they're going to do at opposite. But I'm assuming they're keeping Brizard at setter.
Yeah.
Right. So they have Simone, Lucarelli,
and Brizard. And they're also keeping Francesco Ricine.
Yeah, and then I think Konecki is staying in the middle, and he's totally fine. So
they've got Konecki, Chester, and Ricci. So you've got 3 decent.
Oh, they're bringing in Ricci from Perugia. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this has to be the year that Piacenza makes that jump. It has to be.
I guess we'll see. I guess now we'll fully see if Antoine Brizard is really everything he's crapped up to be as the number one player in the world,
according to a fraudulent list. So let's move on to just a couple more. I think that's plenty on transfers. As more come up, we can talk about them in the Discord, which all of you should join, by the way. But
Erkan Ozer is just dropping knowledge in the chat today.
Yeah, I love it. I did hear about Jordan Thompson to Monza. I definitely heard about that. That's why maybe moving Stasiak to the left. Yeah, there's a lot going on in there. But join the Discord. Links in the description to chat about all this stuff all year long.
Yeah, Heinen going to coach a women's team too.
But it's a bad one. It's like a middle of the road one. He won't even make the playoffs.
No, they're a playoff team. Nilüfer is a playoff team.
No, there's only 4 teams make the playoffs in terms.
Oh yeah,
true. Not going to be one of those.
Yeah.
Well, with Vito Heinen, come on guys, they got a chance, right?
Yeah. Now they're probably going to get relegated.
Yeah. Okay.
Before we jump into a couple more things to wrap up the club season, we got a couple of very important things Everett needs to tell us about. The first is thatvolleyball.store. It is back.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to look fly like me right now, we're rocking the spicy volleyball gear. Rob's got some of it. Dan doesn't have it yet because it's sitting right here on my office floor that I'm going to be giving him. But make sure you head over to thatvolleyball.store to grab your spicy volleyball merch, grab your 9x9 merch, grab your Make Volleyball Great merch, and look as good as us. I finally got my order in and I'm stoked about it. We got baseball tees, we got hats, we got water bottles, we've got t-shirts, long sleeves, sweaters, hoodies, literally got everything. So
grab volleyball sticker.
Spicy volleyball stickers. Yes, absolutely. So make sure you head over to thatvolleyball.store to grab some merch and grab some gear and support the podcast. Next up, if you like sports, then you probably like betting on sports. So head over to BetUS, America's favorite sports book, and use the code VOL125, 125% deposit bonus when you deposit $100 or more. That means if you deposit $100, you're going to turn up with $225. It's literally free money. Golf is starting. It's always great to bet on. I'm a bartender, and there was a dude who won like $30,000 because he bet on a guy for 30 to 1 for the Players Championships this weekend. It was great. He tipped me out a lot. It was fantastic. You want to see pure joy? Go win $30,000 on a random meaningless bet one night when you were drunk and it turns out well. It's great. So when you're doing that, make sure to use our code Volley125. As I said, it's going to be free money, and they've been doing this since 1994. They are the longest running longest running sports book in the US. So make sure to check that out. And that's another way to support our channel and of this podcast without having to buy things. And you know what? You can end up winning 30,000. Who knows? Or maybe more.
All right. Good bit there. You boys want to cover a couple more like little questions just to summarize the entire club season before we jump on a little national team stuff?
Absolutely.
Well,
you got some questions? So. Let's do it.
I do. So looking at all of European club volleyball, the entire year, we had a lot that went on. We had World Club Championships. We had all the cups. We had the entire Champions League season. We had all the league titles this past weekend. We had promotions. We had relegations. We had a little bit of everything. Quickly, first thing that comes to your head, we can go through these quickly. It doesn't have to be anything that crazy or researched. What is your favorite club match you watched this year, men's or women's? I absolutely know what mine is.
Modena versus Perugia, Game 3 of the semifinals in the Superliga.
Modena Perugia Game 3.
Yeah, it was like Game 4 set 4 went to like 31-29, and then went to overtime of Game 5, set 5 as well. Magic. Ooh. Good stuff.
Mine was the Trentino versus Perugia Champions League semifinal.
Another good one.
Back-to-back 5-setters plus a golden set. Like it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, I have to agree with Rob on this one. That was absolutely phenomenal. Just great volleyball all around. And you know what? Trentino. That's probably that series against Lviv. That's probably the best that they looked all season, and it was kind of downhill from there.
There are a couple others like Piacenza over Trentino and like deep in set 5 in Game 2 of the playoffs. Was it like 1917 or 21-19 or something ridiculous? That match was great. I remember I commentated a Verona over Milano game where Rokmozic ripped an ace at like 23-21 set 5. There was like just a crazy barn burner. That one was really fun. On the women's side, like Club World Championship finals was crazy. But the one that definitely sticks out for me is Vakapek versus Fenerbahce in the finals Game 4. When Fener was up 2-1 in the series, they were up 2-0 in the match and 17-13 in the third, and they couldn't close it out. That was one of the all-timers. And yeah, Erkan in the chat saying the same thing. Yeah, Fenerbahce, Vakapek Game 4 of the playoffs. That was ridiculous.
I'm trying to think of any more.
We had a pretty stacked.
Yeah, there's
both rounds of the Italian Superliga semifinals, and honestly, there's Champions League semifinals too for the men. Were both like really good games.
Yeah,
there was a Lube Trentino. I forget which one it was, but I feel like one of them was really, really good as well.
JW over Lube in Champions League was a great series, just like a truly shocking series.
Yeah.
So how about one player you guys think? If there were to be an MVP of all of European club volleyball this year, maybe one for the men, one for the women. Who's your MVP of the entirety of club volleyball this year?
Damn, that's tough. On the men's side, for me, it's come down to two players.
Who are those?
Semeniuk and Simon.
Okay.
It's either Semeniuk or Simon, because Simon did everything he could for Lube, put the team on his back to lead that team to a Scudetto. And Semeniuk, I don't know if he necessarily put the team on his back as much, but his consistency throughout the entirety of the season. And I mean, hey, we talked a lot about, is Slivka falling off? Where's Slivka? I think one thing we just need to look at is that Semeniuk just got that much better, that he demanded the ball that much more, and Slivka just kind of became a secondary piece of the offense just naturally because how good he was. But then the way that he emphatically ended the season with that performance in the finals, like it's a toss-up between those two players for me.
For me, it's obvious. I love Semeniuk. He had one of the best final games of all time. But there's only one winner of this award, Robert Landy Simon. The man had more points than attacking attempts this season.
Wait, what?
That process.
Wait a minute. Is that a real stat? He had more total points than attempts, so he had more aces and blocks combined than attacking attempts that didn't result in kills.
579 points, 570 attacking attempts. He was the best attacker on Lube. He was the best server on Lube. He was the best blocker on Lube. He was their leading scorer the entire season.
Unreal.
From the middle.
Unreal.
Whoa.
It's one of the best seasons I've ever seen in volleyball in my entire life.
Whoa.
It's like, and the fact he's doing it, he's what, 33, 34?
He's 34.
Yeah. I mean, I could every game was like complete domination.
More total points than attacking attempts. That doesn't even make any sense in my head.
That's a bomb stat.
Look it up.
That's absolutely insanity. Wow.
What is that?
More points than like Jesus. That needs to be recognized somehow.
Somebody
like,
fire up an Instagram graphic.
Let's I mean,
that sounds like the return of the 5-1 Instagram right there for the first time in
really does,
19
actually.
months.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Definitely Robert Landy Simone, more points than attacking attempts. On the women's side,
I think it's like either Gabi or Hawk for Vakifbank, or Egonu's always in the
Egonu
mix.
was so incredible.
Yeah, for me it has to be Egonu.
I think it still has to be Egonu too.
Like she was just so dominant throughout the entirety of the season. She was so good in everything she did. Like, let's be honest, the rest of that Canigliano team clearly doesn't match up with what everything else is going on, right, in the world. I mean, even in the Italian league, like without the Egonu, they would have been nothing, right? Vakifbank's strength is their system, is their team as a whole. When Hawk isn't going, they've got Gabi. When Gabi isn't going, they've got Hawk, they've got Gunesh, they've got Osbai, they've got all of those players around them. Whereas with Canigliano, it's just Egonu. And I mean, remember, this was a team that earlier in the season was the greatest team ever, winning 76 matches in a row, right? So still, like, this is still a very, very good team, and it's led by one person and one person only, and that's Paolo Egonu.
I agree. I think it's the very definition of like most valuable player in that discussion is that she is truly and utterly irreplaceable. And without her, Conigliano was completely hopeless. So yeah, she's my pick as well. I cannot wait to see the level of dominance that happens when she goes to Vakifbank. That will be crazy to watch.
Guys, remember a few years ago, man, you guys hear Wilfredo Leon, man, he's leaving Zenit Kazan. Guess where he's going? Perugia. He's gonna be the best.
Picture that level of
team of all
dominance.
time.
Oh wait.
Here we are 5 years later. So let's not count our chickens before they hatch.
Okay. The last question on this topic is taking a look at all the leagues, men's and women's, in terms of just their general league performance, their team's performance in CEV competitions, like who won CEV Champions League Cup, Challenge Cup, like who went far in those competitions. On the men's and the women's sides, which leagues do you think had the best year? It's not which league is the best, not necessarily which league is the best, but which league in Europe had the best year?
Ooh, okay. Who won?
So I'll go down the awards really quick just so we remember.
Yeah.
Men's Champions League, Zaxa wins. They beat Trentino in the finals. CEV Cup, Monza wins. They beat whatever French team that was in the finals. Tours.
Whatever French team.
I don't remember. It was a miscellaneous.
Greatest upset in CEV Cup history, Rob.
Them
taking down
Monza? Monza beating Zenit Kazan in a forfeit? That's the greatest upset right there. and then Challenge Cup was a great one. Yeah, Ankara lost to some other French team. I don't remember which.
Narbonne.
Yeah, that was it. So yeah. Narbonne won Challenge Cup. So like France had 2 appearances in finals of CEV competitions. Italy had 2, even though they were higher, and only one of them was won. Women's side, Vakifbank wins Champions League over Conigliano. I know Scandici won Challenge Cup over some bad team from Spain. What happened is Jaja Basha won CEV Cup easily over.
Ooh, okay.
Someone. I don't even remember who they beat in the finals, but that is a segue for me. The Turkish Women's League had the best year on the women's side this year.
100%. Yeah.
Club World Championships, Champions League, and CEV Cup.
And taking the title back from Italy, won every Champions League title since 2018 when Navarro won, right?
Right.
It was Navarro, Conigliano.
Yep.
Pause.
Pause. Conigliano, then Vakifbank.
Yeah.
So I think Turkey's kind of the slam dunk there. But how about on the men's side? Like, is Zaxa's Champions League win enough to give that award to Poland?
Yeah, I think we already went over it earlier in the podcast. I mean, this is like, now you can't say last year was a fluke, right?
Right.
Now you can say, hey, top Polish teams are right up there with the other Polish teams. And like we said earlier, again, Jastrzębski beating Lubę in the Champions League as well. I mean, what a testament to the power of those teams. And get a Zavierci, get an Olsztyn in those lower competitions, and I know Scrod played CV Cup this year.
Yeah, they did.
Right?
They lost to Tours in that semifinal, which was a crazy one.
Yeah. So I mean, other than that, pretty and Warsaw, pretty flawless performance for the Polish teams that did play, but
yeah,
need a couple more of them in.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Skra got third, or actually, did they? Did they beat Zawiercie in that third place series in Poland? I actually don't know the answer to that.
No, me either. Let's look that up.
Yeah, let's look that up. So whoever got third there in Poland. Wow, what's
it's their fault for having a third place series. You never need a third place series.
Oh, Zawiercie. Wow, Zawiercie
won. Honestly, I'm stoked about that because watching
cool.
Zawiercie in the semifinals, they have a rowdy fans. And I know that they're going to go hard for Champions League. So I'm stoked that Zawiercie won.
So yeah, Zawiercie into the Champions League. They lose Facundo Conte though, so they're going to have to make some moves. Yeah, I agree with Dan. I would like the Plusliga to put a little more emphasis on CV Cup and Challenge Cup because then they could really make a great case for the best league in Europe, to be honest.
And they're still not there at the bottom of the league with Italy. Like still a pretty big gap with like teams like 9, 10, 11, 12. So, but they have by far the best production out of any of the leagues.
That's a good point.
Yeah, except for English commentary, which kudos to FIVB. That was a freaking great addition to everything this year.
Yeah, agreed. So yeah, I'm curious to see what coverage short of expansions we see in the club next year because I think that Volleyball World getting into Italy was a success. I wonder what their viewership numbers are like. I'm on the inside. I commentate all those games. I have no idea what any of their analytics are like.
Moto was on a podcast, Sports Pro Media podcast earlier in the year, and they said that this is the idea is to have the one-stop shop for volleyball streaming OTT. So that's
good. Yeah, I like that. I get the Plusliga on there with English commentary. Get the Turkish Women's League on there with English commentary. I think those would be huge value adds.
And get me on there commentating as well too, please and thank you.
Yeah, we'll work on that this offseason. There's about 75% of the bottom of the group of commentators used to be cut off and thrown in the trash, and bring Everett and Dan in.
Yeah. I disagree with the language, but I agree with the sentiment.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just real quick, we're talking about the Plusliga. Estal Nisa is leading Bedzin 2-1 in the promotion relegation.
Is that a thing? They play a series for that?
Yeah.
That
So
Bedzin
finished second to I forget who, and that's what they're playing against Stal Nisa right now.
Right.
And Brandon Coppers had 14 points in the last one for Bedzin. Yeah, good.
Why is there still club volleyball being played? What is going on here? Why is that a thing?
I don't know, but it's still going to figure out who gets relegated or to see if Stal Nisa gets relegated. They did go up 2-0 with both 3-0 wins, but yesterday Bedzin got a 3-0 win, and Game 4 goes down Thursday.
That's absurd. Question in the chat before we move on from club. Thoughts on the Russian league? Their games are all available on YouTube. I like the Russian league, and I like watching them. I love their production. They've become a lot more available in the last couple of years. The problem with Russia is the obvious. They were pulled out of CEV competition this year. They're going to have a massive exodus of foreigners leaving the league for obvious reasons. Unfortunately they're subject to the geopolitical situation in their country, which right now is quite bad. And there's not much more to say about it because Russia is a great volleyball country. Their league is good. Their players are good. I miss them on the international scene, and we'll definitely miss them this summer. But there are a lot bigger things at play there than just volleyball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's hard to get invested right now.
Very honest. Very. And I tuned back into the very end of the Russian league. We talked about it on this show, and Zenit Kazan lost out of nowhere to Novosibirsk. We were just mostly clowning on how bad the format is, but there's very good volleyball being played in Russia all the time. I just think that level is going to drop in the next couple of years until they can legitimately get foreigners back in.
Yeah, for sure. And let's be honest, we're probably not going to see many Russian players in other leagues either, as well too. And typically they do just stay in the Russian leagues, but I'm guessing that most of those players won't really be welcome, which is a shame.
I can't think of a single one other than Arina Fedorovtseva. That is the only Russian player I can think of playing outside of Russia right now.
but it also works because Turkey is politically like neutral in some senses. So they're not a part of NATO and whatnot. So that would understand why that Turkey might be one of the only places. Turkey and Iran really might be the only places for Russians to play elsewhere.
Well, anyway, I think that's it. That's club season. Club season is over unless you count this stupid Polish relegation series, which I cannot believe is extending past Champions League. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. But that's it. And you boys know what that sets the stage for. It is time.
Absolutely.
It's time. It's national team season.
Let's go.
Volleyball Nations League is here. It starts 1 week from today. The Women's Volleyball Nations League starts 1 week from today. The Men's Volleyball Nations League starts 2 weeks from today. So we're not going to spend that much time on it on this show because this time next week, it will be literally all there is to talk about. But there will be matches 1 week from today on the women's side of women's VNL in two places. One is Ankara, Turkey, a phenomenal bastion of volleyball, great crowds, great arena, great production. You guys see where I'm going with this. And the other is the embodiment of embarrassment that is Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana in the United States. Unfortunately, we have no choice but to talk about this because there is elite level international volleyball being played in that true dump of a town. But this time next week, this coming Tuesday, a week from today, there will be meaningful Volleyball Nations League women's matches played. So we'll have national team games to react to on this show next week, boys.
I'm so excited for national team season. Like I'm literally shaking. Right after this very show, we can watch USA against Dominican Republic at 9 p.m. next Tuesday.
That's right.
So that could kick it off right away. If you are a Canadian fan, Team Canada plays Poland at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, June 1st. So Tuesday, Wednesday, all of the days I'm going to be watching volleyball, and then we're going to be in Ottawa right away for
That's
Nations.
Right. So just a couple quick things about the format of VNL because it's different this year. We've talked about a lot on this show as things were coming out, as they were trying to rearrange the tournament, as Russia's team was kicked out of the tournament and Russian host cities were replaced. But the way it kind of works is there's these 3 weeks of the sort of preliminary round like we're used to, but the pool format looks completely different. Now there's 2 sites each week. It's 6 days of play from Tuesday through Sunday. So that's 6 days of play, and each of the teams that are there in each pool will play 4 matches. So everybody plays 4 matches in each 6-day block. And even though the pools are of 8 teams that travel and go to one site, you don't necessarily play everyone in your pool. It's kind of confusing. I don't really understand like what a pool actually means, but at the end of the tournament, everyone will play 12 matches, 4 matches in 3 different places for the preliminary round. And then out of the 16 teams on both the men's and the women's side, the top 8 will make the playoffs, which is way better than the stupid final 6 or final 4 that we've had in the past. So that, as weird as this format is, the finals format is going to be much better. The women's finals are going to be in Ankara, Turkey. The men's finals in Bologna, Italy. So here's a quick look at the men's. We're not going to talk about it much because it doesn't start until 2 weeks from today. But Volleyball Nations League starting 1 week from today. VolleyballWorld.tv is where you can watch every single one of the matches. Boys, right now, on the women's side, who's your pick to win this VNL?
Canada.
We are going to be better.
Like, I thought Everett was the designated homer on this show. I thought Dan
no. For the men, I'm the homer for the women.
Okay, fair enough.
But actually, I think Brazil for me.
Brazil
like said, yeah.
Turkey.
You said Turkey?
Turkey women.
Okay.
Playing at home.
True.
It's not a bad take. Mine's the USA.
Remember the last time they played a major final at home, 2019 Eurovolley Finals. You guys remember how that turned out?
Sure do.
Yikes.
My pick's the USA. I think the USA repeats. We talked about it on last week's show. We did a little USA VNL roster breakdown for both the men and the women. Those like individual clips will be posted on YouTube here very shortly. But I think the USA repeats. I think they're going to be able to replace Larson, Barch, whoever, Akinradowo really are the only 3 losses. I think Kelsey Robinson, Catherine Plummer, and Chaka Bogu.
So Catherine Plummer's going to hit 8 for 25, or now that she's on home soil, and playing with her.
This is exactly what we talked about last week. Everett clowned on me, but he did not watch any of USA last summer. I did. Catherine Plummer was so good in last.
True. I definitely
Catherine
watched
Plummer
USA
was
last
so
summer.
good in last
when
year's
they played
VNL.
Canada.
Exactly. So, Catherine Plummer was so good in last year's VNL that she made a strong case to be included on the Olympic team, which she wasn't. Which was never the plan. She had 4 girls who were way better than her, more important than her, and all of them about 10 years older than her and more experienced. But she played so well in VNL that she made herself a case. I think she plays significantly better in the national team system than she does, like we just saw on Sunday for Corneliana.
Who's setting for Team USA?
Poulter.
Is she healthy?
I think so.
Okay. Fair enough. I mean,
what do you guys think about them playing in the Philippines? Even
I actually love that.
Yeah, I love it
because
the Philippines.
The Filipino fans are gnarly.
Yeah, and they have more American fans. Like they have more fans of Team USA than the USA does.
Than the USA does. I've seen clips of like U11 matches in the Philippines played in like their national stadium with like thousands of fans there, and their kids go nuts for it. So yeah,
it's a great fan base.
Volleyball. Yeah, Filipino volleyball is absolutely massive, and let's start putting it in places like the Philippines where they actually care about volleyball, and not like places like Shreveport, Bossier City, United States. That being said, both Ottawa and Calgary care about volleyball, so you can come back to Canada anytime. FIVB.
You already know I'll be there, and the FIVB will hopefully follow because Ottawa knows how to run events like that. I'm sure Calgary is going to put on a great show. Yeah, that third week. I'm starting to regret not being able to go up to Calgary for that entire week. They did ask me to go, but 2 full weeks was a little too much for me to handle. But
Rob, we need to start getting you a fully volleyball job so you can start doing this all the time.
I mean, I'll have my people talk to your people if you've got such an offer.
I bet you cost a pretty penny.
Yeah, you're not wrong about that. VNL next week. It's national team season. We make fun of VNL a lot. We think the format is stupid. We like to complain and make fun of the FIVB. But the fact of the matter is, I think all 3 of us would agree that national team season is what we get the most excited about in volleyball. It's definitely what got me into volleyball in the first place. And it just hits a little bit different when you're playing with your country's name on your chest. So I'm stoked for this.
It's also completely different volleyball too.
It's way more completely different.
It's way more cohesive and team driven and style driven. Like I love seeing the contrast in styles that you see from national teams. Like especially when you've got North American teams versus South American teams versus the Europeans versus the Asian teams. It just shows that volleyball is done in so many different ways, and I love watching that. And I can't wait. Like it's been so long since I've seen volleyball in person. I can't wait. Like it's like just hitting me now how close and palpable it is to be able to see volleyball in person. Dude,
we're gonna be in Ottawa. There will be matches played in Ottawa that we're gonna be there for 2 weeks from today.
2 weeks from today, yes, and then we will be drinking beers in Ottawa 2 weeks from today as well. Actually, less than 2 weeks because you get on like the Sunday, right?
I'm flying in on Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be driving in on the Saturday to watch Canada versus France.
Oh, is that like an exhibition game that's going on?
Yeah, there's an exhibition game on Saturday night. There's Thursday, Saturday they play Canada versus France, and then VNL kicks off on Tuesday. So yeah, I'm gonna be heading down on Saturday. I'll be able to film that one because it's not VNL. It's just a exhibition match, and I'll be posting some classic highlights for that one, which I'm stoked about, of course.
So I don't care about watching volleyball in person. I just want baseline highlights.
The volleyball source baseline highlights.
Rob, maybe you can pull some strings with the FIVB and gets permission to film some matches at Nations League.
We'll see what I can do. The influence I would rather have is the influence that I had over ESPN last weekend, and everybody, all my producers and everybody that watched, are like, "Wait a minute, volleyball looks really good from the baseline." Who knew?
Who knew?
What if we could plant our flag in one take on this show and just die on that hill? I think that would be it.
Oh, absolutely. If there's only one thing I'm able to do in volleyball after the decade plus I've dedicated to it, if like we get a baseline camera as camera one as the main camera for volleyball, you can kill me the next day, I'll die happy.
Same.
Like, that's it. I've done what I can do.
It would completely transform the sport
100%.
to such a new level.
Well, boys, it's been a great club season. I mean, this show was born during the club season. We've covered a lot this year, and it wrapped up with some bangers in Champions League. But that is it. It is time for the national team. I'm stoked. So we will see you fine people next Tuesday on the 9x9. Hit up the Discord. Links in the description. We've just exploded a number of Discord members this week. It's been unbelievable, the influx of people from the subreddit that actually want to talk about real volleyball. So that's fantastic news, and they have come to the right place. So hit up the subreddit to just, talk, meme about volleyball, discuss club transfers, whatever you want. We're popping off at 24 hours a day, and we'll see you guys
not whatever you want. We don't want form checks. No, how does this look?
No shoes.
we don't want any rule debates like, is this a double? What's happening here? We don't want any shoes. We want
playing like rec volleyball after spending like 2 years around international referees is so like hard. People don't know the volleyball rules though.
Oh boy,
I have to say that.
Oh boy.
But I'll save it for the other Discord, whatever, for you guys.
Right,
fair enough.
So join the Discord and make sure to subscribe here to Volleyball Source. We'll see you next week on the 9x9 when we will be totally shifting over to national team season. I can't wait. Everett, Dan, thanks, boys. Anything else before we let the people go?
Adios.
5 on Volleyball podcast still going on during VNL, so check it out.
Fabulous.
Dan, are we doing one this week? Yeah,
let's do it.
All right, cool.
Love it. All right, boys.
All right,
we'll talk to you
peace.
next week. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll see you next Tuesday.